Well, the Bears lose again. Aw, shucks. Almost got him. Almost. You really, really put up a good fight there, Bears. So, Bears lose to the Lions by a lot. The game's still going on, but it's over. There's like 2 minutes left. Just gonna film this now. Yeah, this is just. So I feel like I'm back in 2022 all over again. Like the last 2 years just haven't happened. I'm back to accepting defeat before it even happens. I'm back to expecting our defense to be absolutely god awful and just rooting for our quarterback to just do well and for us to lose in the end so that our draft pick can be better. That was me pretty much to a T 2 years ago, and now that's me right now. We've gone full circle this whole rebuild. Yeah, Jesus, man. So Bears lose again. And you know what was interesting? This was the first time in a long time that I've really kind of not I've lost a lot of my passion that I had. And this was I've watched some awful seasons in my time being a Bears fan. Terrible. And I still looked forward to these games. I still sat down every Sunday and watched them. I still refreshed my news every week, checked social media, watching videos from my favorite creators, listening to podcasts and stuff. It was a borderline obsession for me the last few years. And, I forgot they were even playing today. I forgot there was even a game going on. This morning I was just completely sidetracked and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. The Bears play today. And that's not something that's happened to me before. So it's weird. Yeah, they're really losing me here. They really are. I've become so apathetic to this team. Something that I never thought possible for me. I mean, look at this. You're like, how? How did they find a way to do that? But that's what happens when this team just looks so dead. The only one that even feels like they're trying anymore is Caleb, and that's basically it. Like, it's so bad watching this team every week. And the defense ever since Foose left is just completely just evaporated. I don't know what Eric Washington is doing differently, but Jesus Christ, that is bad. It just feels like the team as a whole has just kind of accepted the season's done and they're just kind of taking their foot off the gas. So the Bears fan base, they were focusing all their blame and anger toward Eberflus. Now that Eberflus is gone, they're focusing everything on Ryan Poles now. And I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. I don't think it's fair to critique how players perform this deep into a 4-11 season where your head coach is fired and you've had coordinator turnover and you're facing your toughest schedule of the year. I think that the team as a whole has just kind of given up. I think that's a culture issue, but I still don't think it's indicative of the roster. I think these players will be better next season. I think they were better earlier this season when they actually had something to play for. But, everybody wants something to be mad at. So now they're just pointing their blame at Ryan Poles. And that's fine. Like, there's some valid criticisms for sure, but I think people are kind of making something for everyone to be mad at. Because your next instinct is when you don't have coaching decisions to blame, you blame the roster. And who assembled the roster? The GM. So we blame the GM. I'm not comfortable with that. Poles, I'm not 1,000% sold on anymore, but I still think he's a decent GM, and I'm interested in seeing what he does this offseason. The biggest thing to me is the head coaching candidate. We'll see what he does there. But yeah, so Bears played this week against the Lions, got outclassed pretty much the whole game. If our defense shows up, I think we have a very good chance of winning this game. Caleb Williams with his 5th 300-yard passing game this year. That's pretty good. 320-something yards this game. Yeah, I'm not used to seeing that. I'm really not used to it. Like, it's happened so regularly now. I'm like, wow, this is pretty cool. So I think Caleb's up to 3,200 passing yards on the season. No interceptions. And if he makes it through this week of practice unscathed, he's going to be the first Bears quarterback to start 16 games in a season since Jay Cutler in 2009. If he can make it through Thursday's game, he'll become the first Bears quarterback ever to start 17 games in the regular season. And that's something worth noting. He hasn't gotten hurt. Unlike Fields, Trubisky, Cutler, who felt like all of them missed some time during the season pretty regularly every year, which I guess is more indicative of how bad their O-lines were. But this Caleb Williams O-line is worse than any of those ones that I can remember. I think Cutler had some worse ones, but he's still going out there. He's still getting up. Man, I feel bad for him. He's getting beat up this year, and he's still getting up. Like that, Caleb is a tough guy. I never want to hear anything about his toughness. I don't want to hear anything about his leadership. I think that that's been fully on display this season. Now, as far as where we're going forward, I have no idea. This season's been dead for a while. We're 4-11 now, so we're officially worse than we were last year. A result that I thought was completely impossible. I didn't think there was any way that we could have a worse record than we did last season. And yet here we are. We have lost, 9 games in a row now? I think we have a chance to beat Seattle on Thursday. If we don't, there's no way we're beating Green Bay. And then that's it. That's season's done. Yeah, I've kind of taken my hands off the wheel here. Most of the Bears fan base, I think, is kind of lost, or is at least losing their interest. Looking at Soldier Field this week, a lot of Lions fans. And I'm not used to that. Not at Soldier Field. That's not a stadium that gets taken over usually. So that's something to monitor. I'm interested in seeing the season ticket turnover. I'm interested in seeing the ticket prices, how they're falling, because they are falling. I think finally, after all of this time, after all the failed rebuilds, failed quarterbacks, failed coaches, I think Bears ownership is finally losing their fan base. And that's something that they took for granted for years. They took their fan base for granted. You know, not a lot of teams would have their fans show up for some of the seasons they've put out. But we have. Bears fans are depressingly loyal. And I think they're kind of losing it. And they have to stop the bleeding now. Because there's going to be a whole generation of young fans that aren't going to be Bears fans. Because why would they be? I mean, the only reason I'm a Bears fan is because 2018 probably. Like, if 2018 didn't happen, I probably wouldn't even be paying attention to this team as seriously as I do. So we've got... the Bears have to seriously look in the mirror and do something that the McCaskey ownership has traditionally not done, and that's take the big swing. That's hire the top of the market head coach, something they've never done under George McCaskey, and throw everything you have into building around this kid, Caleb Williams, because even though this season is the biggest dumpster fire that I can remember, he's still showing so much. And that's something that I'm pretty excited about. Obviously he's had his bad games. Of course he would. If you put any of those other quarterbacks on this Bears team, they still suck. But Caleb is... He has shown more this season than Justin Fields ever did. I think he's showing more than Mitch Trubisky did. I would love for his deep ball to just show up. They rarely even attempt to throw deep, but every once in a while, man, like a few times a game, he shows just a special pass, special play, elusiveness, toughness. He's got it all. And I'm so mad that we're doing this again, that they've let him down. After I was sure that they couldn't possibly screw this up. They were gift-wrapped a golden opportunity to not only get an elite QB prospect, but we're also in a position to develop him better than any position that I can remember for a first overall quarterback. And what did they do? Nothing. They didn't move on from Eberflus, even though it was obvious that they should have. They didn't get him a strong O-line. They didn't get him a strong running back, even though they tried. Like DeAndre Swift, that signing, man, he is not good. Like, I don't understand why they sprinted out the gate. That was the first free agency signing of the day, was DeAndre Swift. They sprinted out of the gate to sign him specifically. Why? He's all he's ever been is a strong O-line running back. And those are good. Those have their place in the NFL, but not on the Bears. You needed a David Montgomery type. And we had a David Montgomery type, and you let him walk. So, at this point, this season, we're getting blown out week after week after week by teams that we were supposed to be at the same caliber as. It's just so frustrating seeing these other NFC North teams just really hitting their stride, and meanwhile we're over here saying wait for next season again. That's why they're losing me. That's why they're losing so many people I know. That's why they're losing a lot of the fan base. And it's just more of the same at this point. This is just another Bears season. You can't give us, you can't expect us to believe when you don't give us something to believe in. You don't present that you're going to pull through. So, knowing Ryan Poles, I think he'll make some big swings in free agency. Ben Johnson, I just have the feeling more and more that he's going to be their guy that they hire next month. I really do think that you can make this team a playoff team in one off season, but you have to be very careful with the moves that you make, and you have to show not only to us but to these players that you actually want to win, because the Bears don't show that they want to win. The Bears ownership tolerates mediocrity at a rate that you can't expect and you don't see out of the best organizations in football. I made this point a couple weeks ago, but like the Packers, they don't have seasons like this. And when they do, everyone gets fired. And I can only think of like maybe one or two seasons like that they've had my entire lifetime. There is an expectation of excellence. There's a culture that everybody has to put in the effort and be good at their job. And the Bears don't have that kind of culture because they constantly show that they are okay with mediocrity and being subpar. That's why they kept Eberflus for longer than they should have. That's why they kept Matt Nagy for longer than they should have. That's why they kept John Fox for longer than they should have. That's why they hired Mark Trestman instead of Bruce Arians. That's why they fired Lovie Smith. I believe they want to win, but I don't think that they actually have the balls to do the moves that they want to do. I think they're too nice. And that's why we're left here. That's why we're left here watching us get blown out by 20-plus points at home versus a team that has struggled at Soldier Field historically. And a team that is our division rival that we're supposed to be better than. Thomas Brown moves to, 0-3 now as a head coach. We haven't won a game since October. Man, we haven't won since the London game, man. That was so long ago. Goodness. So, I when I watch these games, I try to remember specific things that I want to talk about. But the last few weeks, I've just moved to talking about the Bears as a whole because these games are blending together to me. It's just some utterly pathetic football they're putting out there. But, man, you still see those flashes from Caleb. And to me, that's more important than a lot of things. So, reload, make some moves, hire the right head coach, and I think that we can be competitive. Because I think that this team right now is playing way below their actual talent level. They have been for a while. Because I think they've just given up on the season, and they don't have a coach. They just feel lost. and that's why they're playing as bad as they are. It's not because they're bad players. Like Kyler Gordon, Kevin Byard, Jalen Johnson, those are good players, and they're not playing very well lately. You can't tell me that that's just because they suddenly suck. It's because there's nothing to, like, why would they? Why would they play well? Why would anybody on this team play well? The only one that's going out there and showing any desire to put a good game out there is Caleb. And that is why he's the future. I never felt anything like this with any quarterback I've watched. Cutler just felt like he didn't care. Mitch felt like a deer in the headlights. Justin just felt he just never felt like he was the right kind of guy for that. But this kid, he's different, man. So next time we play is on Thursday against the Seahawks. It's going to be on prime time, Thursday Night Football. We'll see what happens, but I can't say I look forward to this game. I'm probably going to forget about it like I forgot about this one. You guys have a Merry Christmas. Yeah, Jesus, man. The Bears.